It's Thursday. Can you believe it? I can. I really can. I can believe it's Thursday because time is ticking, kids. It's going by really, really fast. Someone yesterday said to me, time's going by quick. He's almost 90. It's like, yeah, you don't realize it. That's why you could just stop for a second, take a moment, take a breath, and enjoy. And speaking of which, I just found out literally a few minutes ago that our friend Russ had a heart attack last night. So we just want to send our love and prayers to Russ. You can hear his voice on the station actually. He goes, da, 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 he's crazy. He's so crazy. But let me tell you, everyone in this area knows Russ. He's he's a lovable guy. And, sending prayers to him and Marie and, oh gosh, I'm like, "What? Come on." He takes care of himself too. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So again, love and prayers going out to Russ and, of course, to Marie as well. And I would just like to say, I hope you're having a wonderful week. It's almost over, and then we're just a couple of weeks away from the big Christmas day. Woo! Big ginormous Christmas day, it's funny how it changes over the years. I think about when I was a kid and how excited I was and how I would sneak open presents in my mother's closet. And years later, she told me, she's like, "I knew you took the tape off the presents and looked at the gifts." I'm like, "I was such a bad kid. So bad. I was so bad." Like, literally, oh, and the nose is just, oh my god, it just happened. Toilet paper. Anyway, she's like, "I knew you were doing that." Like, "Why didn't you ever say anything?" She said, "Because why would I say anything? You were being sneaky, and I knew you were being sneaky, so why would I tell you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I was bad, mom and dad. I'm so sorry." And then, you think about it. You go, you wanted to know what your presents were so badly. And now, at this stage of our lives, we don't get any. I mean, we don't get any and honestly, I'm fine with that. I need nothing. I'm a yard sailor. I get whatever I want from several weeks out of the year. If there's something I want that someone else is selling, I just buy it. I barely go to the store anymore. Really, the only store I really go to outside of Market Basket is TJ Maxx because they just have great deals. I got these pants, these sweat pants. You can't even see. They're brown velvet. I don't know. I paid like $15. And they were originally like $100 at Macy's. Because, a lot of the things at TJ Maxx, they have the original, they do buyouts from stores, I guess, right? They have the original tag. I'm like, who would pay $100 for a pair of sweatpants? Well, I guess people do if they don't know any better. I don't. Normally, I pay 50 cents. So 15 is a stretch for me, but I needed some pants with stretch to them, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, Christmas just changes over the years, and then you have kids, and then, you're excited because you get to have Christmas for your kids, and it's like you're a kid again. You wrap the presents and you hide them and you say you're Santa and all of the things. And it's just that's another type of fun that you have at another stage of your life. And then your kids leave you, and then they they leave you. They leave you behind. True. And then it's just you and your partner. And you go, what do I do now? And that's really just been my thing. What is next? What do I do now? Well, I guess I don't know what next is. We have to create our own next. And Christmas, I do have people say, "Well, what did Al get you?" I don't want I literally this has been going on for years now. I don't want anything. He doesn't want anything because we can go out and buy each other something throughout the year if we need something. We just don't need anything. And I don't want like I just don't, I don't know. Like, I guess when I was younger, I did want things. I did. Today, I don't want anything. I just don't because I'm trying to get rid of stuff. Jewelry is always good though. I'm not going to lie. Jewelry is always a good thing, but I like to get my own jewelry because I know what I like. And when I can spend $1 on a big, ginormous piece of sterling silver that's a ring that looks fantastic and necklaces that I get for $1 that are just beautiful and timeless, why am I going to make him go and spend 200 to $300 on something I know I will eventually get for really cheap money? So, yeah, things are just different and it's not bad. I'm not complaining one bit. I have nothing to complain about. And the other day, I told you guys, Al and I spent some time together and we had a really nice day and it was fun. And that, I think that's the point we're at in our life, is that we just want to experience different things now. And it doesn't necessarily mean traveling the world because we're not really interested in that either. I think it just means the quality of time and just seeing different things that are really close to us. I mean, there's so many things to do around where we live. Probably the same for you, you know? And that was another thing growing up. Oh, there's nothing to do in Rhode Island. There's tons of things to do. And we're right next to Connecticut and Massachusetts. So there's tons of things to do there in those two states. It's all good, man. You just got to find your own fun. That should be a channel. Find your own fun after 55, right? Because it's true, our lives go through these changes and these evolutions. And when you get to the next one, you go, okay, what do I do now? And really, I think that's I've had a problem with that for a while. What do I do now? What I'm gonna do now is say, hello, we have people here. Hi, guys. Good morning, Tanya and Chrissy and Cindy and Sherry and Kickin' Al. Kickin' Al wants something. Wow, I didn't know. Thank you for being here. I never expect anyone to be here, but thank you. And thank you to our members who just support the station and the channel. Jenny, Jim, Kathy Bailey, Christine, Red Sma, Patty, and Tanya. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It keeps us here and on the air. And these folks literally just are members just to help us out. And if you don't know, we have a streaming radio station free in the App Store, Kiki.fm, playing all of the classic hits that you love, all of them, rock, dance. Al has put together just an amazing playlist. And it's interesting. People, always say, where are you on the dial? We're not on the dial. We're online. And that's just the wave we're in now for radio stations. A lot of cars don't even put regular terrestrial radio in cars anymore. Tell me if that's still a thing, because from what I know, they don't. You have to either subscribe to Sirius or Pandora or whatever. You have to have some type of app. So, anywho, let's move on. Speaking of radio, Gene Simmons went before the Senate on December 9th. Today's the 11th. Here I am looking at the date. Yes, I have to look at the date. It's 6 a.m. Like I'm not awake yet. I kind of am though. I've been awake since like 3. I decided to get out of bed at 4. So let me just get going here. So Gene did testify against the proposed American Music Fairness Act during a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee hearing on Tuesday that happened in Washington. Gene told the Senate Judiciary Intellectual Property Subcommittee that he supports the bill that would force AM/FM radio stations to pay royalties to the copyright holders of respective works played. Gene said, it looks like a small issue when there are wars going on and everything, but our emissaries to the world are Elvis and Frank Sinatra. And he also said that Elvis, Sinatra, and Bing Crosby were treated worse than slaves by radio broadcasters. Gene said slaves get food and water. Elvis and Bing Crosby and Sinatra got nothing for their performance. Is that true? Did they not get paid anything from radio? I have to look into that. I really do. That's crazy. So Michael Hoop, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Huppe, President and Chief Executive Officer of Sound Exchange, interesting, yep, which helps music creators to collect royalties whenever their music is played internationally. We know what Sound Exchange is. He said radio corporations made $250 billion in ad revenue over the past 16 years, while recording artists were paid exactly zero. Now, I have to interject on that for just a moment. So we run this online radio station, and now you have to pay your yearly fees to the government. And it wasn't like that when we first started this. So the government keeps upping what we have to pay, but we don't make any money. So we don't. We're grassroots, okay? And the government keeps increasing and taking and increasing and taking, and we do pay our royalties every single month. So, when you've got a grassroots radio station like we have, and we put in the work and the time and all of the things and helping in the community and things like that, nobody's helping us out. So, yes, the artists are not getting paid, and of course because we play the artists. We pay the royalties, right? But then in turn, who's helping us? Just you guys who help us, right? So it really is a vicious circle. 1,000%. 1,000,000,000,000,000,000%. And let's see. He went on to say broadcasters are using other people's property to make money without paying them. We pay them. Granted, the artists get very little from what we pay, but we still pay. So is that money really going to where it's supposed to go? We don't know. We just pay. Yes, correct. And Hoop went on to say that even Russia and China pay. He said online streaming services pay recording artists, but not AM/FM stations. Okay, that's weird. I find that so hard to believe. I know that there are terrestrial radio stations that pay royalties. We know people. So I don't understand that. Then where's the money going? That's a big question. If it's being said that AM/FM radio stations are not paying artists, but yet we know they're paying, where's that money going to that the AM/FM radio stations are paying? Who's taking the money? And is it being distributed properly? Well, who the heck knows? Who's running it? That's all I'm going to say. And Hoop also said the days of hearing a song on the radio and going out and buying a CD or an album at a store are long gone. And I disagree with that. I do. So my good friend, her daughter and boyfriend are constantly buying vinyl, and they're constantly playing the vinyl in their home. So that is not true. That is not true. The younger generation are scooping up CDs and vinyl to play for their own listening enjoyment. So I don't know. I don't know. And what happened with CD and vinyl sales? Do artists still get paid on those? These are questions. There's so many questions. So many. So let's see what Gene had to say. I'm going to play this little clip. Let's go ahead and share it.
It's well past time to pass the American Music Fairness Act. I want you to very succinctly say, this is why we need to do it today.
We have to do it today because AI is right around the corner. This is an archaic injustice that's been around for a long time, and there's no reason why we should get in the middle of it. It's un-American. The basic premise of America is, pardon me for simplifying it, I was a sixth grade teacher. If you work hard, you should get
Okay,
paid.
let me ask you about something else. I go to church, and I live in a neighborhood in Nashville where we have a lot of session singers and musicians, background vocalists that are there. Talk about the significance to those artists of getting those pennies on the spin.
It's often, see, when you mentioned Elvis and Frank Sinatra and everything, we're talking big ideas because they've scratched and worked their way to the top. The new artists really need these pennies when they get heard as their career starts on radio, but there's no income. How do they get there? How do they claw their way up to the top with the help of radio? And again, I'm not here to demonize Mr. Hinton or the radio stations. We need each other. Performers need radio, radio needs performers, but for God's sakes, equitable doesn't mean you get zero, and radio makes $14 billion just this last year. That's not equitable. I know it's a big word like gymnasium, but come on, Hinton, let's get with it. Let's become American.
Equitable is a big word like gymnasium. What? You got to give Gene credit, but sometimes I don't know where his brain's going. I get it, but sometimes I don't. Just being honest. He said we all need each other, and we do. We do. But well, there's also us too. We are, as a streaming online radio station, who's helping us? There's a question for you, Mr. Simmons. Who's helping us? We're playing the artists. We're getting music heard that hasn't been heard in decades. Like, Al has chosen a list. Like, I'll be listening to the station and then I'll text him and go, oh my gosh, I haven't heard this in years. I mean, Al's got so much music in there that I literally haven't heard half of this stuff being played on commercial radio, and I barely listen to commercial radio anymore. But I know it's not being played because there's so many commercials being played and talking by the DJs, which is great. I mean, I'm never going to down a DJ because that's what their job is. That's what you do. And that's how you connect with your listeners. DJs are great, right? But where things are evolving, times are a-changing, who's supporting what we do for the artists? Nobody, except for, like I said, you guys. That's it. That's it. We don't get any backing from anyone, except for, also, we do have a couple of sponsors, and we appreciate everyone that supports us and sponsors us. But man, it's not easy. It's just not easy. So if it's a circle, then, and we all have to support each other, well, I think you got to look all around you too, Gene. You got to look all around. Who's supporting these artists? We are huge supporters of these artists. We talk about them. We go see the shows. We talk about the shows. That in turn supports someone potentially buying a ticket because we talked about it. So it all goes hand in hand, everybody. It just does. It really does. Now, speaking of Gene, the other day I talked about him making a comment on why he thought Ace Frehley passed away. And this is from people.com. The title of the article is Gene Simmons apologizes for saying late Kiss bandmate Ace Frehley died from bad decisions. And that was really strange that he had come out and said that. So we know that Ace passed away October 16th. He was 74 years old, and he passed away due to a fall that happened at his home in New Jersey. On Wednesday, which was yesterday, December 10th, Gene apologized, and he put a post on X saying that on reflection, I was wrong for using the words I used. I humbly apologize. My hand to God, I didn't intend to hurt Ace or his legacy, but upon rereading my words, I see how it hurt everyone. Again, I apologize. I've always loved Ace. Always. But he said a bunch of stuff over the years about Ace. Let's remember a few years ago there was a big thing between the two of them. And Ace wanted to be a part of their farewell tour and it didn't happen. It was about money. Could they have potentially come to an agreement? I don't know. I wasn't part of the talk, so I don't know. But to be honest, I think it should have been made to happen that as an original member, him and Peter should have been a part of that farewell tour. Again, we don't know all of the things that happened behind the scenes, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's too late now. Gene also said, in and out of bad decisions, falling down the stairs. I'm not a doctor, doesn't kill you. There may have been other issues, and it breaks my heart. He said, the saddest things, you recap what you shall sow. Unfortunately, that's what Gene had originally said the previous weekend. And it's like, why are you saying that now? You just went and had the Kennedy Center honors presented to you by President Trump. And I believe he said that after they had received that honor. So was it the wrong thing at the wrong time? Yes, absolutely. He did apologize. And like I said to Al this morning, it takes a lot for someone to apologize. It does. He did apologize. Should he have said it in the first place? No, 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 no. But he did. It's Gene. This is what he is. This is who he is. And, either you move on or you don't. And someone had made a comment about, I talked about Sharon Osbourne the other day, and I played a little clip of her with Piers Morgan. And she said, she's always going to be grieving over the loss of Ozzy. And then someone had made a comment and said, she did a lot of bad things to artists over the years. Basically, reading between the lines, she's getting what she deserves. Again, saying it from a quote someone else, but reading between the lines. It's basically what it was saying. I do think as a person too, you really can't kick someone when they're down. She was with this man for many, many years. He did things to her too. Let's be honest. I mean, without going through everything, he did a lot of not nice things to Sharon. And we can talk about it, not now, but you just don't kick someone when they're down and crying and sad, and it's just not the right thing to do as a person. That's all. That's all I'm saying about that. Hey, Rhonda, good morning. And let's see. Sherry said, I think my first album was Sean Cassidy. My very first 45 was by the Silver Connection, Fly, Robin, Fly. And that actually was a number one song, I think, on this day, 1976, I think. I think it was 1976. That was my very first. My dad gave me, I think the 45s were on sale at Ann and Hope, which is now defunct. They no longer exist. He gave me 10 cents because there was a coupon, and I went and got my first 45 record. And I will never forget the feeling I had putting that little yellow disc in the middle of the 45 and playing Fly, Robin, Fly over and over again. I knew all the words. Well, there weren't that many. Fly, Robin, fly, up to the sky, high. And that's it, really. I think that was the whole song. Yeah, great times, man. Great, great times. And, speaking of great times, I got a couple of jokes for you. Couple of holiday jokes. Okay, ready? Where does Father Christmas keep his suit after Christmas? in the closet. Oh, that was cute. These are cute, right? These are cute. These are cute. Al's gonna go, I don't get it. He doesn't get like any of these jokes. I don't understand. Al, you're gonna get this one. What kind of a motorcycle does Santa Claus ride? A Holly Davidson. Stop. Vroom, vroom. I know you get it. I know you get that one. I know you do. The number one song on this day, December 11th of 1974. Yes, we're going back a little bit. Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. Do you guys remember that song? Everybody was kung fu fighting. Ha! Those cats were fast as lightning. Ha! Right? Great song. Great, great song. Carl Douglas. This was actually an accident that this song even happened. Kung Fu Fighting was written in 10 minutes and it was scheduled to be on the B side to Carl's song, I Want to Give You My Everything. But Pye Records, PYE, said that Kung Fu Fighting had to be on the A side, and thank goodness it was. It was a global phenomenon. You know, it became a massive international hit number one in over 11 countries, including the United States and the United Kingdom. It was the best-selling single, one of the best-selling singles of all time, selling over 11 million copies. Can you believe it? I believe it. But again, this record was released during a time when what else did we buy? We bought vinyl, we bought records. And Carl is known as being the first Jamaican-born artist to have a number one single in the United States on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. And this is definitely a one-hit wonder, but Carl did have two other singles. One was Dance the Kung Fu, and the other was Run Back, that both made the top 40 in the United Kingdom. And let's see, the song has been in the films Daddy Daycare, Bowfinger, Rush Hour 3, and it's been covered by artists like CeeLo Green and Jack Black for the Kung Fu Panda franchise. Of course, it was in there. I never saw Kung Fu Panda. And Carl eventually moved to Hamburg, Germany, where he operates a publishing company that coordinates music for films and ads. So yeah, that was the number one song on this day, December 11th of 1974. And that's what I got for you. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope that this Thursday is filled with lots of love, care, and respect. And go to the bakery and buy a donut. Like, that's what I said. I feel like today's a donut type of day. But I really need to stop. I really need to control myself. My latest obsession, cheese crackers and dip. And it's not a good obsession. Oh, wait a minute. Let me do my 80s trivia before we go. I got 3 trivia questions for you. What car do Marty McFly and Doc Brown used to travel back to the future? Let's see if anyone knows this one. And I know, we got a little delay going on here. Little delay. Everybody probably left already. Well, the car that Marty McFly and Doc Brown used to travel back to the future was the DeLorean. I know. Okay, guys. 80s trivia question number 2. The power ballad Just Died in Your Arms Tonight was a hit for which group? Which group sang Just Died in Your Arms Tonight? Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. Must have been so easy. I just died in your arms tonight. Oh, wow. Okay. It was the Cutting Crew. Last question. Which American artist had the biggest selling album of the 1980s? This is probably one of the easiest questions out of this box. The artist who had the biggest selling record career out of the 80s was definitely Michael Jackson. And this is a little box I got at a yard sale a long time ago. And I found it the other day and I said, I'm going to ask questions because why not? So, guys, again, have a wonderful day. Thank you all for being here. You guys are absolutely the best. I send you lots of love, hugs, and kisses. And remember, guys, I love you, love you, love you. Mwah. And I will hopefully see you soon. You guys have an awesome day. Bye.